people. I am doing this on my phone, so if it gets out of focus, like I don't have a way to really, because I just wanted to come on here real quick and say something that's on my mind, on my heart. So if it falls out of focus, just keep listening, okay? Don't be worried about, hopefully it just stays on my face. I really hope it stays on my face. But I'm not gonna really edit this, so it might be, long-winded. It might not. I just had like some bomb-ass Jamaican food, so. But, yeah, I just wanted to come on here with a few words of encouragement, a few things that I, for one, can really, these are things that I have told myself and that I tell myself now, and I've said them quite a few times the last few weeks as well. So, but basically, I was texting a really good friend of mine, and I asked her how she was doing. She said that she's been doing a lot of self-reflecting, and I was like, oh, any good things coming out of this self-reflection? She's like, yeah, and starts telling me what she's, realizing and discovering about herself. So the first thing she said was that she knows that one of the main issues that keeps her, well, these are not her full words, but I know this is what she's saying because we've had several conversations, but one of the main things that's keeping her from really and truly progressing is her past. She worded it, and I quote, "My past is my biggest issue." The second thing she said was that, what did she say? Her past. I don't even know how I was holding the camera. Okay, so her past is her biggest issue. She said after that follows the fact that she doesn't really know herself, and the last thing she said was, I just looked at it. Did she say always? Okay, hold on. Right, and then the next thing was not knowing how to be alone. Okay, so the first thing is her past is her biggest issue. The second thing is not really knowing who she is. And the third thing is not knowing how to be alone. So when I was about to reply to her, I figured, because one of these things is something that I have mentioned to other people in my life, figured I would make a video, hoping that the three things that are my responses to her are also three things that will help out somebody else. Make me a little prop for my arm right here. Filming on a phone is so hectic. Like, what? I don't have a tripod for my phone, so it's stupid. So the first thing she said was that her past is her biggest issue. I would really like for people to understand the power of words and how they truly mold not only how you see things, but how things affect you as well. So my first response to that is, unless we are solving math problems or doing construction or something like that, I don't really, or unless, somebody know how to act, unless it's something like that, I don't personally believe in calling things problems and issues. I prefer to think of them as challenges. And then, of course, it also depends on, how I'm speaking. Like, is it actually an issue, or is it just a hurdle that I need to get over? I'm not saying I don't use the words problem and issue. I do use them even in terms of speaking, about myself. But in that manner where saying this is an issue of mine, or this characteristic is an issue, or this quality of mine is an issue, or like, I try not to say things like that, because that programs your brain to think of it that way. Now, if there's something going on at work and I'm like, oh, I have this issue at work, to me, that's an appropriate time to use that word. But even still, I try not to use it, if you catch my drift. So if you understand that, cool. If not, I guess DM me so I can further explain it. But yeah, so I prefer to think of it as a challenge. Your past is a challenge. And to further correct that phrase, it's not necessarily your past that is a challenge. It's more so you knowing how to deal with it, get past it, and work through it and heal from it is the actual challenge. Because what has happened to you didn't kill you. So it's not that horrible. So I don't care what it is that you went through, whatever it is, big or small, to whatever, level anybody could think of. However it is to you, that is not the issue. That is not the challenge. That is not the problem. How you're choosing to deal with it and heal, that is the true challenge, because you have to know how to get through it. You first and foremost have to know that you're not just trying to get over it. You want to get through it, okay? The only way to make it to the other side of anything is to get through it. You have to get through the tunnel, through the traffic, drive through the route, walk through the crowd. You have to get through it. So unless you got wings and you flying over mountains and flying over crowds, you need to go through it. You need to use your common sense, your heart, your integrity, your responsibility. Use all of that, your intuition, and get through it. So first and foremost, your past, your present, whatever, is not your issue. How you're choosing to handle it and get through it is the true challenge, okay? And to piggyback off of that, I need you guys to understand that the things that you went through and the things that you are going through are not what define you. That is not who you are. It is simply something that has happened to you, something you are going through, dealing with, however you want to put it. It's not who you are. So the sooner you can let go of that thought that, oh, this horrible thing happened to me, so that's who I am. And as soon as you get rid of that fear of thinking, if that's how you introduce yourself to people, then that's how they're going to think that that's who you are. Not saying people are not judgmental. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you thinking you are your past. And if you bring these things up to people, that's who you are, and they're, you got to get rid of all of that. It's not who you are. Who you are is, again, how you choose to deal with these things. Okay? So you can allow your past and your present to beat you down and to really F up your life, or you can take those things and think about how you played a role in it. Think about whether or not you did something wrong so that you can hold yourself accountable and, work through those things. You got to think about, the cause. That is the true thing, the root of all of that. Because the sooner you figure out the root, the sooner you will have a little bit of a better understanding about who you are and what you want and don't need and what you do need out of this life. And, the sooner you'll stop blaming yourself, the sooner you'll stop blaming others, and you'll find that you're starting to heal and that you're starting to get through it, and that it really isn't that horrible. Whether it's mental pain, emotional, physical, financial, whatever it is, it's not that bad, because if you're able to sit here and watch this video, you're not dead. And if you are, that would be weird, but I mean, whatever. But no, for real. Okay, for real. I'm sorry, for real. But yeah, if it didn't kill you, it must not have been that horrible. Okay, and if the image is moving, is because I'm moving on my bed, and I'm propped up on some pillows. But yeah, so that's the first thing. The second thing she mentions is how she doesn't really know herself. So here's another form of understanding. You're never gonna know yourself. A lot of people are out here saying, "Oh, I don't really know myself. I don't really know myself." And this one is completely based off personal opinion, just a thought process that has helped me. I personally do not believe that people truly ever really know themselves, because every day you are learning new things about the world and the people around you, and you're learning new things about yourself. So therefore, who you are is constantly changing. What happened to you today did not happen to you yesterday. And if it is similar, it is not the exact same thing, okay? So who you were Monday, January 29th is not who you are today. Whether you had an emotional shift, a mental one, an academic one, an internal one, so many shifts can happen. Our bodies move with nature, our spirits move with nature. So who you were yesterday is not who you are today. Yesterday you probably really loved mac and cheese, and today you don't. Today you realize, hey, I ain't trying to be drinking and eating all this lactose, so I ain't into that no more. Last week you probably made a transition and decided to stop eating meat. Maybe you decided to stop eating candy. Maybe you decided to quit your job or buy a new car, get a dog, have another baby. Maybe you lost somebody. Like, who you were yesterday, last week, last year, whatever, is not who you are today. So you have to get rid of this notion that you're trying to figure out who you are, and you should just be with who you are, okay? Stop trying to figure yourself out. Yes, there are the basics. Like, some of my basics are, my favorite color is purple. I am naturally loud as hell. I enjoy, just chilling by myself. I'm not really a party goer. I love food. I can eat all day. I love cheesecake, but it makes me sick, so don't eat it. And what's something else I know about myself? I'm very assertive, very, headstrong and blunt, very, honest. I can go on and on and on, but like, these are definites, these are examples that I'm giving you. Like, these are definite things about my character that are probably never going to go away unless some life-changing event occurs. But those are things that have been a part of me since before challenges started occurring in my life. So you have to know the difference between your definites and the dependents, okay? Everything else is dependent upon what happens to you, what people say to you, and, the words you use to mold your life. All that shit can change. So the sooner you understand, you're never really going to know who you are, but you'll always discover different layers of yourself. That is the difference. You'll always discover new things you're great at, things you don't like, things about people you don't like. Your type when it comes to dating. You'll discover different things about that, different things you want to learn, all that good stuff. So there's no such thing as knowing who you are and finding yourself, because you were never really lost. You're there. You just have not discovered that person yet. and maybe it's not meant for you to discover it just yet. Okay, so that's my second thing. You never really know who you are. You gotta let that go. You gotta let go trying to figure yourself out and just be with yourself. That falls in that category that we're always talking about and seeing online, that self-love hashtag, or the hashtag heal thyself or healthy self. That falls in that category. Stop trying to figure yourself out and just be with yourself. So if you love water and silence and lavender this week, do that. Be with that. Love that. Okay? If you antisocial this week and next week you ain't, that is cool. But stop trying to figure out if you truly are or aren't. Just deal with it. Just be with that. Deal with who you are right now. Okay? Stop trying to figure yourself out. The third part, she said, I forgot again. Not knowing how to be alone. I hear this pretty often, even from people who spend a lot of time alone. I'm starting to think that people think that being alone is being lonely. So I don't think it's, I feel like when people say this phrase, I don't know how to be alone, it's one of two things. Number one, you don't really know the definition of alone. Or number two, is that it's not that you don't know how to be alone, is that you're just afraid of being lonely. And you gotta really know the difference. Even though number one and two kind of sound the same, they sound different in my head. So I hope it sounds different out loud. But being alone is not being lonely, okay? So if you're afraid of being lonely, you gotta ask yourself, jumping back to number one, why you are that way. Finding the cause and the effect to help you understand who you are right now. You see how all that works together? It's like a sandwich. No, a wrap burrito, you know? Although I think wraps and burritos are sandwiches. Okay? But we're not gonna talk about that. So, yes, number three, knowing who you are. Not knowing who you are, being afraid of being alone, okay? Being lonely is, in my book, when someone says I'm lonely, that falls under a spiritual and mental setback. Okay, it's on that spiritual mental setback spectrum. That's what I'm gonna call that. And you gotta know the difference, okay? So, like, I like spending a lot of time alone. Like, I love being alone. It does nothing negative to me. I don't know if that's because I always grew up with a lot of people, so I'm okay with being alone, because back in the day, alone time was just, amazing for me. Or if I've always been, I'm not really sure if I've always been that way with or without people. I wouldn't know. I'm not sure. I can't imagine my life without all the people I grew up with, so I don't know. There's always people in the house. But whatever that reason is, I'm cool with being alone. I probably spend about 80% of my time alone. The rest of the time is either with my honey or my sister. I don't really spend time with other people. So you got to know the difference between alone and lonely. And if you are telling yourself you don't know how to be alone, then you are probably lonely. Or you probably feel like being alone equates to being lonely. And you need to try to understand why you feel lonely to begin with. Especially if you're surrounded by people who love you. If you have a significant other, if you have a career that you love, if you've got a few great things that keep you company and give you a sense of fulfillment, you need to really ask yourself, why do you feel lonely? And why are you afraid to be lonely? Okay? And once you figure that out, you might find that you're okay with being alone. Because I guarantee you step out there in that dirty ass world, you gonna want to be alone. You gonna want some time to yourself. Okay. But those are the 3 things. I know it's probably kind of long, but if you sat through the whole thing, that means you really needed it. So shout out to you for really watching that, and I really hope that it helped. Feel free to please pass this on. It might be something in this video that someone else needs to hear, and you don't really know if you have the words or not. So I really hope that it does help somebody. All I need is one. That's what my goddad used to always tell me. You just need one. That one person, it'll trickle it down. So, keep those 3 things in mind. Keep your vibes up. Drink plenty of water. And get your rest. I'm about to go to sleep. I'm lying. I'm not going to sleep right now. But I'm working my way over there, though. All right. Peace and light.